He's out cold badly. Jon Jones' defense out of Demetrius Johnson there at the end. I am a piece of shit, but my content's really good. Try and look beyond how terrible of a person I am.
The mighty Guru Show. Boom! What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are finally together. You guys have been asking for this, the Mighty Guru Show. I am Dvalishvili Johnson, and that's my man.
The MMA Guru is also here on the Mighty Guru Pod. Who would have thought it? It's the MMA Guru and Demetrius Johnson together, breaking down UFC 316 and potentially talking about that abysmal press conference from Dana White after the fight, where he finally decided to show up to work once again.
Well, I thought you were gonna show up, right? Because his ass was going off, promoting boxing. You want somebody who's gonna be there full time, and I think they need someone. You know what? They don't deserve to have somebody like you. You're too passionate. You care too much. You know that. You care way too damn much.
But before we get into all of that stuff, and believe me, we're going to get into everything UFC 316 and the Jones versus Aspinall situation and Dana White's abysmal press conference performance, we got to let you guys know that this episode is kindly sponsored by Prize Picks, where you can, on every single UFC fight card, say whether or not someone's going to land more or less significant strikes, more or less on a certain amount of takedowns, or fight for a more or less than a certain amount of minutes.
And boys, you guys know it's not always about the UFC. They got NHL, they got Valorant, they got CSGO, and the NBA Finals is going on right now. So make sure you guys lock in your picks at the right place, which is Price Pick. And make sure you use our promo code MIGHTYGURU. Cool promotion. You play $5, no matter what happens, you're going to win $50. So make sure you guys get the picks in at the right place, which is Prize Picks.
What do you want to get into? DJ, do we just start straight away with the main event, Merab versus O'Malley, or?
I feel like you want to jump. I feel like you want to jump right to that fight. You want to just jump right to that fight. You want to jump right to Merab versus Sean, because I heard you were,
have you seen Interstellar, DJ?
Oh fuck, I haven't seen it yet. No.
There's a scene where he's watching his daughter make the ultimate mistake.
Yeah, and he's crying. He's like,
and he's crying, and he can't, and he's helpless to what's going down to one of his most loved people. I'm sending all my favorites at Merab Dvalishvili, and he's just chewing them up and spitting them out. It's just
Merab's a different beast.
Might be one of the first fighters where I'm sitting here thinking it's just not fair. This is not fair. What Merab's doing to these guys.
Well, he's just been able to outwork everybody, right? Like, he said it himself, he's not the best striker. He's not the best wrestler. He's not the best Muay Thai guy. But when it comes to competition and putting it all together, he fucking gets it done. Like, even when he fought Henry Cejudo, he goes, yes, Henry, you might out-wrestle me. But guess what? This is mixed martial arts. And when he fought Sean has one weapon, right? I think we all know that. The whole world knows that. He has the hands, the teep. I didn't give a pick because I trained with Merab. Excuse me, I trained with Sean. I did not train with Merab. And I didn't feel comfortable like, okay, this is the things I felt when I was in his training camp, even though it was only 3 rounds. But, I'm good at analyzing and picking up on certain things. So I thought it was a great fight, right? I thought the fight between Sean and Merab was great. You can see, sometimes I feel when you take an immediate title shot, a rematch, you don't give yourself a chance to actually develop more skills, meaning that Sean came in with the same game plan he had the first time they fought, right? It almost just picked up right after it was round 6. It was just a continuation of round 6. Granted, Sean was able to grapple in his camp. He was able to be healthier, maybe a little bit stronger, but I felt it was a continuation of if that first fight would have kept on going from round 5, okay, we're going to round 6, round 7. That's what just happened last night or Saturday night when those two fought.
I mean, I wanted to get into the main event straight away because I'm fired up. I was coping. I was seething. I was emotional. And even on your pod when we met in person, I was telling you like Merab's going to make it easier this time. I was actually saying that in person to you. And then for some reason, my brain just decided to go, no, your instincts are wrong. O'Malley's going to make the adjustments and O'Malley's going to come in fresh and O'Malley with a labrum is going to be better, and O'Malley with all of these lifestyle things that he's changed is going to come in a different way. And my take on the fight was that it would look the first, third, and the fifth round would be the majority of the rounds in this Merab fight. And in those rounds, O'Malley will have a better shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 rounds were similar to that. They were more competitive rounds than like the second round of the first fight where Merab did dominate O'Malley on the ground.
Yep.
So he did a lot better at actually dealing with Merab. But I think one of the big problems with O'Malley in this fight was he didn't want to give up those positions. And sometimes, in the second and fourth round in the first fight, when he gave up those positions and just sort of thought, okay, Merab's got this round, next round's going to be fresh, I'll try and get that one. He sort of kept himself alive in the fight, unknowingly to me. But in this rematch, with him trying to fight out of those positions in the third round and get to like a north-south position and get his knees under him and try and tuck up on Merab and try and get back up to his feet, because he was trying so hard to escape those positions, he left himself more vulnerable for that choke from Merab, and it was in, and it was tough, and O'Malley tapped him round 3, and Merab is just the greatest bantamweight of all time, and it's unfair what he's doing to all of my favorite guys.
Well, you got to look at it this way. Like, you're absolutely right. Like, when you look at that fight with Sean versus Merab, when I break down the fights, when you have one guy who's fleeing, like they don't want to have this car crash, right? Granted, obviously Merab is better at that car crash. He wants that chaotic. He wants the chaos. He wants to take you down. He's doing spinning back shit, and he takes you down. He doesn't look to pass guard. I tell people, when you're trying to get away from something like that, you're not going to win that battle. But if you go underneath them, like you said, go north-south, bring your knees underneath you. I don't think Sean took time in his camp to develop that skill set, to develop like, hey, if you take me down, I'm attacking your fucking ankles. I'm attacking your knees. I'm going to heel hook, toe hold, knee bar. Yep. That way, when I do attack your legs, you're going to run away. Then it gives me the opportunity to wrestle up and not worry about the head and arm and that choke. And then, it was very weird. At the very end of the first round, you saw the cameras kind of turn, kind of chaotic, like something was wrong. And you see Merab have that exact same choke he finished Sean with at the end of the first round. I was like, he's going to get that fucking choke. Like he almost had it. But I just think Merab is so good about overwhelming people that they don't train to be overwhelmed, right? Like when I was in Sean's camp and I was hitting pads with Tim, I was like, he goes, you're constantly overwhelming me. And I was like, yeah, because this is realistic in a fight. I'm not going to sit back and like, pop, pop. Like, it's not realistic. I'm not long. I'm going to be all over you. So I would assume like when they're training for Merab, it's like, we need people to be all over you. Like for 25 minutes, I'm going to be crossing the void, being on you all fucking day, every day, and making it miserable. And you need to go underneath me, attack my legs. And I don't think Sean took the time, or did he have the time to develop that skill set? Because he jumped right into another title shot. And instead of like, you know what? No, I don't want a title shot. I'd rather fight somebody else. But it's part of the
Cory Sandhagen. A Peter Yan rematch, or, something where he could make more approachable adjustments, like something more approachable to him as a matchup would have been better for him in hindsight. But the thing is with O'Malley, even though you said that, in the camp, they were saying, you're overwhelming us right now, and you were like, that's what needs to happen.
Yep.
Sometimes with O'Malley, I think that a lot of the training camp is like building his confidence going into the fight, So if he's just been overwhelmed in training camp and now he's going against the best overwhelmer there is.
Yep.
I know he's got to have some sense of being overwhelmed. You've got to mimic the style of Merab somewhat, I understand. But I think there must be that part of training camp. I saw the simulations they were doing where they were trying to really get that sort of undefeated mentality back in his head. And he's the best there is. He'll find the shot, Yeah,
I think, man, like I said, I wasn't in the camp full time, right? So I can't speak about that, right? But I'm looking for my past when I trained when I fought Kyoto Horiguchi. He's a blitzer. He wants to run, and blitz across the void. Matt made me, he goes, go get him. This whole fucking round is you chasing him. And I don't remember how many times I got punched in the fucking face. Too many to count. But I spent the whole camp chasing my opponents to get to him. That way, when I got inside the octagon, it was like, he's going to run, and I'm going to be all over you like right on rice. Might not be the second or third or fourth round, but in the fifth round, that's when I got the submission. So did they say, hey guys, if you're sparring Sean, you're walking him down the whole entire time. We need him to be overwhelmed. Obviously, That's what Merab's going to do. And we need to go underneath Merab, not get away underneath him, because he's just going to lay in guard. But, you know, Merab looks fucking good. I think he is the greatest bantamweight ever to step foot on that canvas. Like, he's beat TJ Dillashaw. He's beat Dominic Cruz, what Dominic Cruz has been able to do. And I love Dominic Cruz. But Merab has gone out there and beat. I don't think there has been another champion that has beat as many champions as he has in that division.
The resume that he's put together, I mean, we're talking Sean O'Malley.
Twice.
Fight before that. Yeah,
Twice.
But Sean O'Malley. Fight before that, Umar Nurmagomedov.
Yep.
Fight before that, Sean O'Malley as a champion.
Mm-hmm.
Fight before that, I mean, was it Henry Cejudo on his resume?
Yep.
I think Henry Cejudo, and that's a great bantamweight name to have on your resume, a great guy from those divisions to have on your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Then before that, we're talking Peter Yan, which is another insane name to have historically on your legacy. And then before that, we're talking Jose Aldo when he still had it at bantamweight and he was still a top contender and he was still in the mix, in the top of the division, looking for his own title shot. I think he was on a win streak at that time over guys like Rob Font and Marlon Vera and all of these guys. And Yan is just trudging forward. I mean, I said this when I first joined into this, which I wish we could have started with because it was so organic. I said, have you ever seen Interstellar? And there's a scene where he's watching and he's crying because he just can't do anything about it. And he's watching his daughter make like terrible mistake and he's just crying watching it. And I just feel like I'm sending all of my best guys at Merab. Okay, Aldo will get him. You know what I mean? And then Aldo gets, Aldo's been absolutely Merabed. Okay, well, Yan will deal with this guy. And then Yan gets Merabed for 5 rounds and it's just like, okay. And then the tears are coming. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, let's see how O'Malley deals with this. And I send O'Malley in, and O'Malley gets chewed up and spat out. And then there's no one else to send. We got no more hitters to send after Merab Dvalishvili. He's just
too good. He's too good.
God,
and
he's
then
good, man.
I mean, and now we're gonna see what happens when he fights Cory, which would be interesting because Cory, you know, when I look at Cory versus Merab, I kind of go back and look at Cory versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Umar has, you know, probably the same, not better than Merab's grappling, but Umar was able Umar was able to take down Cory. Cory does a little bit different. He doesn't try to get up. He rolls to the legs. He starts attacking the legs. So that's the only thing, X factor, that I feel Cory's bringing in against Merab, is that when Merab will get him down, how does Cory attack? Does he try to get away or does he go after the legs? And that's, oh my God, are you okay?
I was trying to hold that sneeze for the last 10 minutes, DJ. It had to come out eventually, man. I was wincing and twitching this entire time, and that was the most disgusting sneeze I've ever had in my life. But there you go. But Sandhagen, he's the X factor, you know? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, he does.
Sandhagen is the X factor.
Yeah, he has that X factor of attacking the legs. Like, that's the only thing. He is dangerous on the feet, but obviously Merab's found a way to avoid people's greatest strength, which is, you know, avoid getting hit. I mean, he takes no damage too when he fights. He literally could fight probably in 2 or 3 weeks if he wanted to. So we'll see what happens with Cory and Merab. I'm excited for that one. And you know what? I also feel that that's why Merab has such a long way to get to the belt, because imagine if he would have got there sooner. Imagine that. He would have beat all these fucking people. Then he was like, oh, well, there's somebody else for me to fight. And now he's trying to do it as a champion.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, they're talking about Sandhagen Umar scorecards, and they just put it in the chat here, Sandhagen Umar scorecards. It was very dominant for Umar. So so you've got to lean Merab. This is the thing with Merab, where I've picked against him and I've said, he's open here and he's not the most technical here. But you've got to just start accepting that he's beaten the guys that have beaten your guys. And it's tough to deal with. But I do agree that Sandhagen prevents a different problem. I don't see Sandhagen getting finished by Merab, which you know it doesn't make him stand out amongst Merab's opponents. Merab's not really a finisher. You know, a finish may come around here against a Sean O'Malley, but typically we are going to see him go to the 5 rounds and take you into the championship rounds and do work there, because that typically is his style. Maybe he's improving to another level, who knows? But I do agree that Sandhagen's more well-versed options for dealing with a grappler when it comes to his Granby rolls and when it deals with the way, you know, sometimes he's really good at sitting up from certain positions. So when Umar's got his hands around his waist, Sandhagen's good at sitting up. So I do agree that there are chances for Sandhagen. There really are, but it's just hard to doubt the machine. There is Merab Dvalishvili. I mean, when I saw him lose to Frankie Sains all those years ago, and when I saw Ricky Simone get that guillotine on him and take the second round, I thought, I don't think this guy's going to go on to beat all of my guys. But Merab has just sort of dialed in. He's hit the ground running. He's taking it full force. He's going all in on his career. And the activity is insane. He's back. He's getting in there. And that's something that we don't really give credit for, because we see champions who defend and then, all right, see you next year, man.
Yep.
We'll see you later this year. We'll see you in 8 months from now. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Merab is literally talking to the UFC guys right now. I mean, he's fresh.
Yep.
He's uninjured. He didn't take any damage. I bet you he's talking to him like, all right, get me something for September. Get me something for October. I'm looking to get back in there. But the thing is we're talking about the Sandhagen matchup. Dana was at the press conference talking, the Umar Nurmagomedov rematch sounds good. No. And this is my problem. We can't do this because...
Why? Why do that?
Yeah.
Why? Like, you can do Umar versus Sean O'Malley when Sean's ready to come back. That'll be a fucking banger fight. You can do Umar versus somebody else. Like, give Cory the opportunity to fucking fight, Merab. Like, why do we, and this is the problem, Michael and I always talk about this, like, the UFC is such a big brand that they can do whatever the fuck they want, right? And it just blows my mind. It's like, why not just give Merab Cory, have Umar fight Sean, or Umar fight somebody else to let those guys stop giving fucking title fights off of fucking loss. How about that?
I know. and also, listen, with the O'Malley thing, I know you're getting heated here. I know it's crazy what's going on in the UFC. And I think there's a stat that, like, fighters that are going into title fights that are undeserved, as seen by the MMA community as undeserved title shots, I think there's something like 0-10 this year.
Damn.
When you look across the roster with guys that the MMA community has reacted to and saying, like, damn, this guy doesn't really deserve it right now. He's kind of being privileged based on the situation that's right now, and he's been leveraged up to a title shot. When you look at the stats, I think they're like 0-10. I saw a stat about that, and it had all of these names of, like, an Asakura fighting Pantoja and even Khalil stepping up against Pereira. Of course, some of them are situation-based.
Yep. You
got to save an event. You got to step up. But I think I agree with you when it comes to talking about not giving the Umar Nurmagomedov rematch, because it's not just about doing Umar a service in saying, you're a young guy, Merab's ahead of you.
Yep.
Take the time, take the step back, fight a Mario Bautista, take a Marlon Vera matchup, get one of these fights, get your confidence back, and then go into a fight with Merab when you're more, ready for that. And you've taken a year to deal with it rather than a few months. But one thing that needs to be talked about as well when it comes to these immediate rematches is, first of all, hang on a sec. First of all, O'Malley was a champion, and there was no other contender for Merab to really fight because Pantoja's not moving up and he's not moving up to 145. So I understood it in that way. Like, this isn't perfect that O'Malley's getting a rematch, but he was a champion that got a defense. Whatever you think about the situation of that defense, another undeserved title shot for Marlon Vera that he lost, We're just talking about this. But he got that opportunity, and you were like, okay, it's not the right fight. I'd rather Merab wait and they do a matchup with O'Malley in the meantime, and then have O'Malley get a shot if he wins it. But with Umar, he was a contender that lost a title shot.
Yeah. And
now they're talking, well, let's do the immediate rematch with Umar. And it's not just a disservice to Umar's, like, own career to do this. Of course he could win, but it's not just a disservice to him. It's actually a disservice to Merab, because he doesn't get to reprove something.
Yeah.
When you rematch a contender that has not done something in the meantime, whilst you have gone on, I mean, we're talking about a situation where Merab as a champion is the one taking the in-between fights between his contenders, where he beats O'Malley and then it's time for Umar, and then O'Malley's ready again while he's done nothing. And then Merab beats O'Malley and then Umar's ready again after he's done nothing. It's a disservice to Merab's legacy because he's not getting these fresh names, and it's just going to be seen historically as, oh, and then he beat that guy again. Oh, and then he beat that guy again. It's not going to be seen as, oh, and then he beat that guy when he was back on a streak and he looked like he had just reinvented himself.
I think the good way to put it is when I fought Joseph Benavidez in September, I won the belt in 2012. After that, I think Joseph went on a 3-fight win streak. Just beating people, knocking people out. He built himself back up. And so when we fought for the second time, I was like, holy shit, it's going to be a different fight. Joseph's been on a tear. And so has Demetrius Johnson. Demetrius submitted this person. He beat John Dotson. You build up.
And Joseph Benavidez was getting KOs, I remember back then, like vicious knockouts. And it was like, oh, this is a new test for DJ. But go on.
Exactly. Then we meet again. It didn't change the outcome. I still knocked him out, but they still built it up where Merab is more active than the fucking contenders that he's going to be fighting, like you just said. And I don't understand why I don't know why. I think Dana has some shit going on in his brain. I don't know why he would say Umar Nurmagomedov when he has Cory Sandhagen right there to be able to fight. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, sorry, just a correction. And yeah, by the way, I'm rocking the beanie for you, Guru. I hope you enjoy it. You guys are actually mistaken. Dana did say a rematch for Umar would be interesting, but Cory's next.
Oh, did he really say Cory's next?
Corey is next.
Yes.
So Cory is next.
So you're breaking news here. Dana made logical sense at a press conference. Is that what you're telling us right now?
Yes, but producer Nick, who's not on camera, gave me the heads up that he did say Cory's next. But he said Umar rematch would be interesting.
He mentioned it as also an
Corey
option along with Sandhagen, right? He also mentioned that Umar could be interesting. So,
but we also got to take what Dana says with a grain of fucking salt. I mean, you know, they can get back home and do. He says Tuesdays is matchmaking day, right? They get back home and be like, okay, we can do Cory versus Merab. It might do, I don't know, maybe 150,000 pay-per-views. What did Umar versus Merab do? Hey, we need to meet this quota for this month. We got to make sure our numbers up so we get that new TV deal. Fuck it. We're not going to worry about the MMA community. Let's do what's best for the company. Let's do Umar versus Merab. So I'll have to weigh more on that sense of that Dana speaking than him saying, you know, he's next. How many times has Dana said he's next? He's next.
Yeah, but that's the thing with Dana, he doesn't like guaranteeing it for someone.
Yeah.
Right? So when there's a contender like Cory Sandhagen, he doesn't want to say, oh, it's absolutely him 100%. He's getting it, because then he feels like he's given them power because he's given them their word, his word, you know? Yeah. So what he's going to do is he's going to say, well, Cory Sandhagen's next. But before we go into the title fight negotiation room, you know, Umar rematch also sounds kind of interesting. So but I don't even think the Umar rematch should even be discussed until we see him rebuild. So I don't even like it as a plan B here. For Merab. We got to go with the fresh matchup.
So we'll see what happens. But before I jumped on the call, my dad called me. He goes, dude, did you see that? He watched the fights last night. He goes, did you see that old woman fight last night? I was like, who are you talking about? He goes, Julianna Pena. She was boxing like an old ass woman. And my dad goes, I don't know what the hell she thought she was. I can't believe she's one of the best in the world. And I said, Dad, women's mixed martial arts is so much further behind men's mixed martial arts. Like how many, like you look at the talent pool, like if we sit back, can you name 10 top female athletes in that division?
You can't. And honestly, I was thinking about this. The women's bantamweight division, it's one of the rare women's divisions where, you know, Kayla Harrison's here now, and I think she's going to be a formidable force in the division. Like, I'm not taking away from Kayla Harrison.
No.
She is a monster in that division. She's going to be a problem to deal with. I mean, she's literally going to be like a Merab for her division, where it's just such a physicality difference and an engine difference and a grit difference. But women's bantamweight is the rare women's division where I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, this might have been a better division 10 years ago with Rousey and all of these other guys.
I agree. You had Rousey, Misha Tate, Kat Zagano. You had Amanda Nunes. Like, I'll never forget. I was in the when I was in the UC. I'll never forget when Kat Zagano and Amanda Nunes fought. That fight was so fucking badass, and I never forget leaving the arena, seeing Amanda Nunes sitting there eating ice cream after she got her ass beat, and I was like, that division was probably peak back in that time. Now it's like, all right, we're going to bring Amanda Nunes back. She hasn't, I think Dana said it, she hasn't even hit the testing pool. It's like, we got to bring one of the legends back from back to the sport to keep that division going. I was like, okay, she comes back. Let's say Amanda Nunes beats Kayla Harrison. What now? Does Amanda Nunes stick around? So it's like, it's just the women's division is just so far behind, because I feel like in women's mixed martial arts, it's not something that my daughter is looking to get into. Like, my son's girlfriend doesn't want it. She's like, I don't give a fuck about fight. I'm gonna be a professional ice skater. It's like, it's just so far behind where, Yeah, but my dad called me and I thought it was funny. Like, what'd you think about that? What'd you think about that?
it is. Julianna, listen, I could go full guru here and get the show canceled before it even begins, but Julianna Pena, like, I had a tweet about this, and it was an offensive tweet. I was in a mood. I was in a steaming mood about it. You know, I was correct in my prediction of Kayla Harrison, but I said something about easy dominant win. This is unorthodox advice, I said. But Julianna Pena should try this new thing called looking like you've trained a single lesson of MMA in your life.
You know what?
I said it was this new revolutionary technique because I was watching her on the feet in that fight and I was thinking, ooh, this is the world champ here that we're looking at, and it needs to be better than this. Is what I was looking at. It just needs to be we need to bring that level just up to the women's flyweight level. Now, I'm admitting women's flyweight has got some real talent. Like they're actually a division that is blossoming with Natalia Silva on the come up, and you know they show great technique, and they've just got another prospect from this very same card, Kong Wang, who looked really good on the feet and looked like a really well-versed MMA striker out there with her low kicks and her shots to the body. And with Julianna Pena, she was like an unk ready to fucking scrap at the cookout because you just knocked a sausage off the barbecue. I mean, it was honestly really bad, you know? It really was. It really was. She's like rolling her fists like this, right?
Yeah.
Like it was actually a why I oughta stance.
Yeah.
Why I oughta. That actually should be what that stance is called. Honestly. She was marching towards Kayla Harrison like this, rolling her fist back and forth. And I was like, what?
Was it like this? Say it. Was it like this?
Yes, it was exactly like you're doing
jab,
an absolute
like that.
Perfect mimic.
Yeah.
Yep. And then maybe an occasional... and then a clinch occurs, and oh my God, Kayla Harrison's manhandling her.
Yeah, like I said, people can get so far in this sport with so many deficiencies, right? Obviously, Kayla Harrison wasn't the best striker on her feet. She had no rhythm. She wasn't landing on her feet. Her kicks were going straight up. They weren't turning over like a Muay Thai, like boom, like just throwing her hips in, because she's a grappler, right? She's a judo artist. But once she took her down, easy arm triangle attempt, and then once she defended the arm triangle, she brought her hands down right in front of the Kamaru and tapped it. It was almost like she tapped. I was like, everyone's like, what happened? What just happened? It was like, she tapped. So I was not surprised one bit when Kayla Harrison beat, Julianna Pena, just because the amount of sheer like strength and just a huge discrepancy of like just talent, like. Yeah, and then the thing is with
Kayla Harrison is that she has the physicality difference over these opponents.
Yep.
But there's also that skill in there as well. I'm not taking away from that. She has a physicality difference, and of course she's built. I mean, she's got capped delts and a big back. I mean, she's a very, very built different woman. I mean, I don't know where Brock Lesnar, if he's been unfaithful somewhere and dropped off a couple kids here and there, but that's some Brock Lesnar genes, that's a Brock Lesnar daughter gene right there, where she's just built different. But there's also the slickness and the inside and outside trips that she's going for. So although she does have the physicality, she also mixes it in with that sneaky little Cejudo style in a way, inside trip where she leans right into him against the cage and turns him the right way. And it's going to be a nightmare to deal with her. And I'm looking at the women's bantamweight division, and I'm seeing names like, I mean, Miesha Tate is still ranked number 13.
But she just
in
lost.
That division.
But she just literally she just lost.
And she just lost to Yana Santos, who is, a mom of so-and-so. And she, and Macy Chasson is number 5. And she just lost to Vieira, who's also already lost to Kayla Harrison. And I'm just looking at the division, and other than Norma Jamont from certain angles, there's just nothing interesting to watch in that bantamweight division.
Yeah, I think if Amanda does come back, I think Amanda beats her easy, because they train together. They train, so they know each other's quirks and intricacies. And if she does come back, what does Kayla train? Right, like Kayla trains in American Top Team. She has Mike Brown. So let's say Amanda comes back, goes, hey, I'm here. I was here first. You have to go somewhere else. Now Mike Brown is with Amanda, goes, okay, this is how we're going to beat Kayla Harrison. I'm her coach. Now I don't have to coach her. It's like, it just has this weird fucking, mix. It's dynamic. It's like do you really have to come back out of retirement to take this fight? Like, why don't we just leave her sit, let the lioness sleep, let her enjoy her retirement, and have Kayla Harrison just run through all these fucking girls, and then she retires, and then the division can start fresh again. Just almost like, hey, breath of fresh air. Kayla Harris is gone. She was champion, 2, Olympic gold medalists. Amanda Nunes is gone. Now we have a fresh division. Those guys are gone. That's what they should fucking do.
Yeah, I was just going to mention something that has just been put in this chat. That Nunes, there was already that rift. When Kayla Harrison was first training and thinking about coming to the UFC, there was already that rift where ATT did let go of Amanda Nunes. And there was that dynamic. And look, even here, it's being said, Amanda Nunes confirms Kayla Harrison directly led to her leaving American Top Team and knew this fight would happen someday. So Nunes actually left the team and opened her own gym and built a team around her because she knew that this dynamic would cause a rift. So she knew she was in the position to make the decision for the team and probably not put it on them to make their choice between the two, because of course she's already a millionaire and she's established and she can build something around her, whereas Kayla might not be at the point right now where she can build something around her. She's at the point right now where something needs to be built for her in terms of a training camp.
So if that's the case, then has Amanda Nunes fought since she's left the American Top Team? That would be my question. Has she fought since then? Because if she hasn't, what is the dynamic of like preparing for a fight? Like, yes, you can build a team around you, right? You have Ilya Topuria who left his coach. Like, he was like, they had a very, good split. He goes, just the distance of traveling, from home, whatever it may be. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to build a team around me. But you still, that coach knows how to tell you what to do. He tells you what to how to strategize together. He knows how you work and your quirks are. Has Amanda Nunes had that yet? Has she had a tough opponent she had to deal with on her own that she built a team around her? Because when you build a team around you, you're building people who are going to say, yes, that looks great. Yes, you're in charge. You're good. You're right. Absolutely do that. Instead of Mike Breger, like, you need to work on this. Like, Matt was like, you got to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. If I would have built a yes team around me, they'd be like, TJ, you look fucking good. That would be my question about that. Like, what's her situation like now?
Yeah. The director here in the chat, listen, I already know this information. We got two title wins after one versus Pena and one versus Aldana. So Nunes left after the first Pena loss is what they're saying. So she has had fights whilst being separated from ATT. But I do agree that the lack of activity and the return is just not ideal for Amanda Nunes here. She could win against Kayla Harrison because she could do it on the feet. But listen, it's a very compelling fight, man. Kayla Harrison is only going to get better at dialing in to making that weight class. It's a very foreign thing to her to make 135 pounds consistently like this. So you're gonna tweak things. You go through the weight cut and you take things away from it, and you think, okay, this will work better, and I'll do better with this. So I think Kayla Harrison has more of a chance to develop to a level that will beat Amanda Nunes when she returns. And I actually think the UFC is banking on Kayla Harrison winning because, she jumped out the cage. She got the picture with Trump. She's the thing right now. And Amanda Nunes is the returning queen who might come back, win, and say, all right, fuck you guys, I'm out again. And then all of a sudden, you don't have a bantamweight division anymore. It's like remains in her shadow.
Yeah, it's like GSP versus Michael Bisping. He comes back, knocks out Michael Bisping, goes, all right, guys, thank you, I'm out, and just leaves again. It's like, all right. I mean, I don't think. But
luckily in that case, you had Romero and Whitaker, and Adesanya's coming up at that time as well. So you got this fresh new guy that's going to go on to become something. But the problem is with this bantamweight division is there's no Whitaker, there's no their Romero is Raquel Pennington. their Whitaker is Irene Aldana.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And then you hot up and comer is. There fucking isn't one. There just isn't one at bantamweight right now. So yeah, let's move on from this Nunes Kayla Harrison thing. But yeah, that was a very dominant performance from Kayla Harrison, and that's a big fight. I hope it's not main event in the next pay-per-view that they're on, but a nice co-main event of Nunes Harrison. It's at least better than the alternative of Kayla bullying some poor helpless woman that's in her division. It's at least like a fresh challenge where she could get chinned here.
Yeah. What do you think, Kevin Holland? Kevin Holland came out and he looked fucking good last night, man. He looked good.
My best friend, Kevin Holland. Hit him with that 45-70 choke, dude. That was a new one, dude. Yeah, it was an anaconda choke, wasn't it? Not a Darce choke that he hit him with.
Anaconda, Darce. It's always different depending on the way you.
I think it was an anaconda choke that he hit Luque with, which is Luque's move.
Because he hit Tyron Woodley with it, the exact same one, and
Tyron Woodley with it. Yeah, he's hit so many guys with that move. I mean, I wish I could list a few names of them, but yeah, he's hitting a few guys with that Darce choke. I think he hit Chiesa with it as well, didn't he? When he was scrambling out of a takedown, he latched up that submission, rolled him over.
Yep.
Yeah, he hit him with a Darce choke anyway, but the front chokes have always been Luque's move. So for Holland to hit him with it is... Dude, Holland's dialed in. Holland's locking in. I think Holland is realizing that at 170, hold on. If I stay committed here and don't take these silly Reina Dorida matchups at 185, or I'm going to get out physicality, he can give problems to that division, you know. He can give problems. And he called out Covington next. And I'm thinking, he beats Covington.
Yep.
And if he beats Covington, we're looking at top 5 contenders all of a sudden for Kevin Holland and Mr. 45-70. And all of a sudden, those top 5 might not know what a 45-70 is. And that's going to be a real problem for him if Holland gets going here.
And I think for Holland, he's got to decide, does he want to actually go for a world title? Like, does he want to work his way up to a title shot? Or is he enticed? Is he motivated by money? Because the UFC call him like, hey, man, we got opportunity to, you know, at 185, we'll pay you an extra 6 racks or an extra $200,000 if you do this solid fit for us. And he goes, fuck it, let's do it. He goes, fights, loses because the guy's bigger or whatever it may be. Then it sets it back down. So hopefully, I would like for him to stay at 170 because he's big, he's longer, he has that reach advantage because Luque couldn't do anything to him. Luque was like, I can't get to him. And even when he did get to him, he would pull off that clinch, beautiful elbow that hit the back of the head, the ear. And then when he capitalized, when he came up, he tried to wrestle it up. Those long-ass, black-ass arms and that dark man choke, that's all he needed. And he was probably the most oppressive. Him and Merab were the ones who impressed me the most. And Mario Bautista. But those two are
based on expectations going in.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Because the Luque Holland fight was seen as, this is a tough fight. This is a 50-50. Luque just showed that he still got it with a finish in his last fight over Themba Gorimbo, who had put a streak together of his own. You know, he had a dominant win over Amis Brahimaj, who's now bounced back. So, you know, Luque was seen as, hang on, after the Buckley fight, we thought he was done, but he's still in there. He's still in a mix. So Holland, I think, is the one who over-delivered on expectations in his performance. Because, I mean, round 1, I mean, if we really want to go into a play-by-play here, Luque gets onto the single leg of Holland, and he's holding onto it for a while, and Holland's just beating him in the face, long leveraged arms, just sort of tucking up these uppercuts on Luque and landing behind his ear a lot, which caused that sort of hematoma behind the ear of Luque. Caught him with that elbow, and then Luque goes wobbled for a second, but then Holland charges in, and Luque is, of course, a savage, so he fucking swings back, cracks Holland, and it's like, okay, everybody calm down, Luque's still in this. But I think when it comes to the choke from Luque, when it's your move, you're like, you ain't gonna get me with this.
Yep.
So Holland's going for it on Luque, and I think Luque tried to bail over the top and sort of get flat.
Yep.
And get parallel. You know, you got to get parallel when someone's putting on one of those front chokes with you. You don't want to be like crunched over in your posture in that position. But Holland did such a good job of isolating the leg of Luque. He trapped the leg of Luque. So Luque is in this choke, and he went to bail over the top of Holland and try and maybe gate a roll out of it after getting perpendicular to him, and then, or parallel to him, or whatever you want. Well, yeah, parallel to him, if you want to say that. And then Holland just had that leg trapped, and you saw it in Luque's face. He was like, okay, I'm going to go over the top of this. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's actually really fucking tight. And that's that. You know, Kevin Holland locks in the dark man choke, as he calls it, which is real impressive from Kevin Holland. So shout out to him. Yeah,
because you just never know who's going to show up. We know he's going to show up just to fight, but how he talks about fighting and how he views it, he's like, I just want to fight, make as much money as possible, and go fucking hunting. So for him to show up and actually stay at 170, I would love for him to focus on that, prove people wrong that he can be champion if he wants to. And I'm excited for his next fight. Like, I can't wait to see. I hope he fights Colby Covington, because I think he's going to beat the bricks off him. And Colby's going to run his mouth, and he's going to elevate the fight. And then he goes, you don't know the 45-70. You don't know what that is, do you, Colby? You don't know what that is, huh? And then he'll probably submit him as well.
Yep. Yeah, I reckon Holland will. I think Covington is the matchup. I think Covington has always been the matchup where I think these guys know that he's not 2 feet into the game right now. They know that he's kind of 1 foot out. This isn't the Covington that was duking it out with Usman.
Yes.
Broken, a jaw hanging off of his chin, and he's still swinging against Usman in round 4. I think they see Covington as like, he's 1 foot out the door. He's the old guard. You know what I mean? He's one to get this isn't a Rachmanov or an Ian Gary, who's this new prospect that's a really tricky matchup. Those are the guys that Holland is obviously going to have problems with. But Covington is someone who I think he can get a good jump up the rankings from if they were to make that fight.
Yeah, but even Ian Gary versus Kevin Holland, I like that fight. I like that fight a lot.
Interesting fight.
Because he's long too. He's gonna talk shit when he's in there. He's gonna like try to, he has that length. I like that fight. Like, I don't think Kevin Holland's too far from that. Like, I think if he was to fight Ian Gary next, I think he would do actually pretty good. Like, I truly, if he came in with the same type of swagger he had last, against Vincent, I think he does very well against Ian Gary. That's just my opinion.
He would do good. I mean, he's not far off a Prates level guy. He might not have the one-punch knockout power that Prates has, but he might be a little bit more well-versed and experienced in those positions and the spotlight of those big fights to give these guys problems. So I don't mind that take that he would actually give a lot of the real contenders some problems in that division. But I think it's just one more fight of momentum for Holland. And then he needs to be in a position where it's within reach,
Yep.
And it's real to him. Sometimes when it's so far away and you're like, I've got to win 4 fights before I even get a title shot. Sometimes then you don't, especially for a guy with the mindset of Holland, he might not dial in when it's 4 fights away.
Yeah.
But if he gets a win over a Covington and he starts looking at the division and thinking, if I win 2 more,
I'm fucking right
or if I win 1 more, then all of a sudden we might see that shift of Holland being like, okay, now I'm going to fucking commit. I'm going to take this 45% to a 70% effort in camp. And I'm going to really go on a run. So very impressive from Holland. Got the performance bonus. And big stuff. Yeah. Anything else on the card?
Let's talk about this. You had a bounty on Mario Bautista's head, right? You had a bounty on his head. $10,000 if someone could sleep him. I thought he looked fucking good last night. I thought he looked good. I think we got to start putting some respect on the man's name. I did have Patchy Mix winning the fight because what he's been able to do outside of the UFC with, Bellator against Sergio Pettis, Kyoto Horiguchi, he's beat some really, really good guys. But
Magomedov, who has a win over Peter Yan. I mean, Raytheon Stotts, he finished in the first round.
Yep.
He has some real scalps outside the UFC. And I was assuming he was going to come into the UFC and take off running.
Yep.
But it grinds to a halt. And his debut, I mean, he had a ton of hype coming in. He had a ton of attention. He was talking really well on the microphone as well. I felt like he had like some sense of aura going into his debut. But I mean, the guy had a fight like, he was fighting like C-3PO out there, man. The guy was very stiff. He was
stiff. He kept throwing the check right hook. And I'm like, dude, you can't just, you have to have some rhythm and try to catch him in when he's coming in. And Mario Bautista read it. He kept going outside the lead leg and the southpaw position, kept going 2 to the body, 2 to the face. And I felt like maybe the UFC jitters got to Patchy Mix. Maybe he bit off more than he can chew, because I saw the press conference. He was like, I'm going to prove I'm the best bantamweight in the world. I'm like, we're going to see. We're going to find out. Yeah. And, and then I saw that bounty of 10,000 G's on Mario Bautista. And I was like, I don't think Gru's going to get that bounty. He can't collect that bounty this time. But, hey, it is what it is. We got to start putting some respect on Mario Bautista.
Hey, and thank God, to be honest with you, because I didn't want to lose 10K while watching it. Honestly, I was praying the whole time. I made something that I said something that I couldn't really cash, to be honest with you. So I'm glad I got a little bit more time to save up to give out that bounty against Mario Bautista. But I don't know if that bounty will ever come, because Mario Bautista looked amazing against Patchy Mix. And as you said, Patchy Mix feeling the jitters of his UFC debut. I thought that at the start. I thought, oh my God, this guy's feeling the jitters. I saw it in the first round. I feel like everyone in the industry was tweeting. Patchy Mix looks so stiff in the first round of this fight. It was actually incredibly stark compared to some of the guys on the prelims of the UFC card. Because I've just watched all of the prelims, and there's guys that are loose and fluid, and some of their UFC debuts. There was a Korean prospect who had a debut, and he looked so loose, and he was ready for the moment. And then when it came to Patchy Mix's debut, the best way I can describe this is not just that he was stiff, but he was overthinking his debut at the start. But then if you're really the level of like being, I don't think you can put it down to just that it was UFC jitters, because if that really is the case, by the time the second and third round comes around,
you should have gotten
you're
out.
loosening up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're loosening up a little bit. So the thing is with Patchy Mix is it was his debut. And the immediate thing that I noticed is that he was focusing on keeping like a very stoic face.
Yep. Almost
and you
mad.
could see that. Yeah. You could see that it was a very conscious decision that he was making in there. And whenever you're making conscious decisions over how you are presenting, it means that you're feeling some kind of, deep down, you're feeling like, I've got to put on this face because I'm not feeling it right now.
Yeah.
Whereas Mario Bautista was wide-eyed and, not caring.
You look at Mario Bautista's movement, I think that's what separated him versus Patchy Mix, where when you look at like how he was moving, he kept on turning Patchy Mix. Patchy Mix can never get to the point where he would actually grab him, get his back, and lock the body triangle, look for the submission. He's kept on moving and throwing the right hand, and I agree with you. Like when I was watching the fight, I was like, damn, Patchy Mix looks pissed off, like just like mad the whole time. And I check left hook. It almost kind of looked like Nate Diaz. Like how Nate Diaz would eat all these shots and throw his hands up. Like, I hit you once. It's like, dude, I've already fucking hit you 20 times. It's too late. But it's unfortunate. We'll see what happens to Patchy Mix. I'm excited for Mario Bautista. Like, I think after him beating Patchy Mix, I think it kind of opens the gate for him to start getting, maybe top 10, maybe top 5, and just see him work his way up to a title shot. He might not be a fan favorite, right? He might not sell out the stadium, but at the end of the day, this is a sport. So hopefully he can get the recognition he deserves for being, a legit fighter.
Yeah, because Patchy Mix is still a formidable name to have on your resume.
Absolutely.
Regardless of how he looked in his UFC debut. I mean, Patchy Mix is a better name for him to have on his resume than a lot of guys that are like just outside the UFC bantamweight rankings or just inside the UFC bantamweight rankings. But Mario Bautista, it was his movement. It was his movement. He was getting outside foot position. And you could see it on Patchy Mix. He was almost like rotating
the
to
wrong
wherever. Yeah. He was like rotating on a swivel.
Yeah.
Like he was stuck in place, just trying to track what sort of outside foot positioning Mario Bautista was going for against him. And it just wasn't working. He kept going for his check hook. And then later on in the fight, he went for his lead hook and then with a straight behind it. And that kind of started working for him. But at that time, Mario Bautista already ran away from the fight. And as you said, Mario Bautista isn't the biggest fan favorite, but he won over some people there.
Absolutely.
He won over some people. He had a great fight. He had a 3-round scrap on the feet. There was no holding against the cage. And there's big things next for him. There's names like Marlon Vera, Song Yudong, who he was supposed to fight Marlon Vera in the first place. So we got to remember that this was Patchy Mix stepping in place of Marlon Vera. So that is a part of this. But yeah, I think it's definitely time for not Mario Bautista to get his title elimination bout, but definitely to get his fight that's going to put him in position to start looking for that title elimination bout in the bantamweight division, which is wide open now because Merab has chewed up and spat out nearly every other top contender other than Sandhagen.
Yeah. What did you think of the card overall? Because I know you're very outspoken about like the cards. I thought the card was good. I thought from a technical standpoint of athletes going out there doing some good technique, I would say the only thing that was like kind of like a damper a little bit was probably the Joe Pyfer versus KG, just because Joe Pyfer, I felt, could have finished KG. He let him back into the fight. But other than that, I thought, everything on the card was like they were very technical. You saw the technical differences between the athletes. Like sometimes you watch the fights and like, these guys are just fucking, they don't know what they're doing. But I felt like in this card, you saw people like, he's stuck. I'm going to go outside it. Mario Bautista taking a Patchy Mix. I'm going to circle out his southpaw stance. So the right hand. Merab out, Merab people got the guillotine choke finish. Kayla Harrison out. I mean, I thought it was a good card overall. What did you think?
This card was one of the ones where all of the winners, you thought, oh, he's really good. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he's got potential to move on and do well. The card was very good to me. The lack of competitiveness in the main and co-main event was what I really thought like dampened the end of it. Because the rest of but it was still really good main and co-main. It wasn't like a really dulled, it wasn't like an Adesanya Romero main event or a Nami Nunes versus Esparza where just nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So that would be my only nitpick is like, oh, I wish we could have had that back and forth for these big meaningful fights at the top. But that's on how good the people that won were in those fights. So that's not something I'm going to take away from him. But yeah, you're right. The Joe Pyfer fight was good, but Kelvin is just, I mean, he is a little mini fridge of a man. He was, you know, the way he's built, the way, like, honestly, I'm saying this, like, I feel like you could open Kelvin by the nipple and there'd be a crate of beers inside. Nice and cool, you know? Like, seriously. He is built to withstand hardship. Is Kelvin. Like, I can almost see him on a roof. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just carrying lumber up there real quick. The guy is built like a brick shithouse. And not in terms of like his leanness and his shreddedness. No, he's just a little mini tank of a guy in that division. Yeah. And Pyfer was putting that mustard on him, cracking him with big shots. I mean, he got dropped by Pyfer and switched off. And then popped back up. And then Pyfer cracks him with a flush head kick. And Kelvin's just eating it. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was insane from Kelvin. So in any other performance, that's like, oh my God, Pyfer looks good in the first round. He knocked out so-and-so. But Kelvin obviously is going to drag you into that. And the thing is with Pyfer, and I'm going to mention this with Pyfer because I know Pyfer's salty, so we might bait a reaction out of him here. Okay. Because he's always got something to say about criticism. Pyfer, in my opinion, showed me this game that he hasn't learned from his Hermansson loss, in my opinion. Because there was no second gear from Pyfer. And I picked Pyfer to win. It was Pyfer made his dominant entry that he always does, where you ain't taking the first round off Pyfer, like unless you're some level of opponent, of course. But at these lower level opponents, they're not taking the first round off Pyfer. He's too powerful for him, man. He's just way too powerful. But then you saw that Kelvin made adjustments in the second round. And Pyfer still got the second round off of him because he landed bigger shots. But then there was no adjustment back from Pyfer in this fight. You know, he just kept doing the single shot barrage where he's going in and it's a feint and it's a feint and it's a big shot and then stop and then stop. And then we don't see him for 30 seconds while he's moving. And then he's going in and it's a feint, big shot. And I think once he gets up to the top of the division, you're going to we need a couple pump fakes with a jab. We need an established jab. We need a low kick to start getting off. We need a teep. We need something different in his game, I think. Yeah. And I think that's something that maybe Pyfer could learn better to adjust off of a win, because that's it's almost like there's a stubbornness to, I lost, I should make adjustments here. But with a win,
you should make adjustments.
I think it's better to learn with a win. Learning with a loss, to certain personality types, it can be a crushing thing for their ego. I've got to completely reevaluate myself. It's a more difficult thing to do than say, I won, I need to tweak some things. Well, you know what I mean?
Hopefully he listens and hears this and goes back home, because I agree with you. There was no second gear. There wasn't he didn't really make adjustments. Now that could be is it him or is it his corner? It's like, hey dude, don't do anything different. You're up 2 rounds. Just play on the outside, do your thing, and just don't get caught. Or, then hopefully he hears this and he goes back home and goes, okay, the next guy I fight, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. And maybe when he gets in the fight, he'll have to make those adjustments. Because a lot of people, they don't make adjustments. There's no need for them to make adjustments. I'm up 2 rounds. Yeah. It was like when Julianna, when she got that point deducted in the first round. So it was a 10-8 round, and then she loses the second round. It's like, Kayla Harrison could just run around with her ass hanging out and still win the fight. So I think for Joe, there was no reason for him to make adjustments. Right?
Yeah, because it's normally the gifted guys that don't like doing that, because he is gifted. Joe Pyfer is gifted. I mean, there's something about gingers. I've always said they're our most powerful whites, in my opinion, the gingers. They really are.
You're one of them. You're one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because I think we're just a little bit different with the physicality. So I think power-wise, the gingers, I mean, they got it, man. Gingers are always deadly.
Especially the daywalkers. You can't tell if the ginger or not till they blah, and they hit you, and it's like...
And then, out of nowhere, they shock you with it. Like, oh, you were one of them all along. I didn't realize this. You know what I mean? It's like we've taken the mask off in front of you. But when it comes to the rest of the card, we have some other things to discuss here. Okay. Do you know of a man named Joshua Van?
I do.
Because I know of a man named Joshua Van, and he's one of my favorite fighters right now on the entire roster. Do you have any thoughts? Because he's in your division, so I wanted to put him on to have the GOAT of his division discuss him as a prospect.
Absolutely. The first time I saw him fight, I can't remember the gentleman he fought last. It was his previous fight before he beat up Bruno. I saw that he didn't really like going to the ground. Like, he would defend the takedown, defend. And that was it. I can't remember who was the last guy he fought. I know
Ray Topuria was the guy that he fought last, an Asian prospect, and he sprawled so many inventive takedowns off of him.
He just kept sprawling, disengaging, and like, for me, I would like to see him sprawl, take the back, and engage in that grappling aspect, right? Like, you have heavy hands, and you can negate that by, if I shoot, he's just gonna sprawl, and then, but why not sprawl? But obviously, he's still young in his career. He has the power.
23.
He's 23.
He's 23 years old.
Yeah, he has the power, right? He has that going for him. Like Bruno, I like Bruno. I've trained with Bruno before. But I feel like Bruno is a journeyman. He's just trying to find he's at America Top Team. He was at, Fight Ready in Arizona. Like, he's just fine. Bruno needs to find a home and stay there and take classes and just work. But, he's making so much money. But Vaughn is very, very in a good spot. And as long as I would like to see him get his ground better. I like to see him do takedowns, working to clinch, because his boxing is very good. He's going to come across someone like Pantoja. Pantoja will grab him.
Tatsuro Taira is another grappler at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's why I like to see him. Like, he's got to prepare for the grapplers. But other than that, dude, like, he can fucking hit hard. Like, and his distance and him, like, getting to where he needs to is really, really good.
I want to talk a bit about Joshua Van as well, because I know he's all the hype right now, and he's one of my favorites because he's fought 4 times in the last year, and every single fight that he's had has been so good to watch. I know there was the complete shutdown of Ray Topuria when he fought him, and he ended up stuffing something like 16, 17 takedowns against Ray Topuria. But this fight, I actually thought, you're saying, you wanted him to stuff the takedown and then go in with his own and maybe try and work in a grappling sense from there. I actually liked this because he was doing a lot of stuffing the takedown and looking to immediately damage and punish for it, which is a step. It's a next step.
Yes.
You can't change overnight. So it's a baby step. He stuffed the takedown against Bruno Silva in this fight, and immediately he was kneeing him straight in the face, and he actually hurt him badly with one of them in the middle of the fight, where he sprawled a takedown and he got a hold of Bruno Silva on his terms. He didn't sprawl a takedown and go and get away from me and drag his leg out and try and get away against the cage. He sprawled the takedown and went, now I've got you.
Yep.
Bang, kneed him in the face, hurt him badly, dropped him every round, and even at the end of the third, he was pushing for the finish, and he got it with body shots. But yeah, Joshua Van's one of the best prospects in the sport, and he's a little small for the division, which you can.
No,
I mean, you've made,
I think he's a good size for the division. Like, I feel
that's your perspective, DJ, because you made a killing in that division while being a little smaller than the other guys.
Exactly. I honestly feel now flyweights aren't as big as it was back in the day. Like, Ian McCall was a big motherfucker. Joseph was pretty big too. Who else was?
They were tanky.
They were tankier.
They were tanky guys. They were tankier guys. But what I'm saying is, for Joshua Van, who's a striker, the flyweights are more rangy. You know what I mean? Which is the frame is gonna give Van's style while being undersized a lot more problems than it would give your style while being undersized.
Yeah.
Because Van's going to run into a Brandon Royval who's 5'9", damn near O'Malley size. And then, he even ran into a Charles Johnson who he lost to before, who's a very good fighter that I think doesn't get enough credit in the division because he has some sneaky good wins and, he'll put together some momentum but then lose to someone that he maybe shouldn't have lost to. But he's got some sneaky wins in that division. So I think that the longer, rangier guys are maybe going to give Van some problems there. But he's very, very good, and I wanted to point him out on this card as a prospect to watch out for. And other than that, the rest of the card, Azamat, I'll give a quick breeze through. Azamat Murzakanov, it was a mismatch against Ribeiro. He ended up finishing him in the first round. Waldo Cortez Acosta, Sergey Spivak, a mess that I might want to get back to in a heated manner. Wang Kong, she looked great. They were calling her Wonton on the mic. I thought that was interesting, but that's apparently how it's pronounced. Andreas Gustafsson mauled his opponent, brutal pressure, broke him down. Ju Sang Yu, I guess we'll talk about this guy. Ju Sang-yu he's called the Zombie Junior. He's the next Korean zombie guy, they say, out of Korea. He got a nasty flatline KO on the prelims. I don't know if you saw it.
That's when he did the check left hook, right? The guy threw and he did the check left hook. Yeah. I mean,
the fadeaway left hook.
Korean zombie never move like that, right? A Korean zombie will walk forward, get a lot of hits, and then he'll grit the opponent and then finish him. A guy who's moving like that, I would be pissed off if they called me the Korean zombie, like the younger Korean zombie. I'd be
he calls himself that. He's called himself Zombie Junior, so he idolizes him. But then again, we say Korean zombie wasn't moving like that. Korean zombie wasn't also fighting Jekka Surigi. You know what I mean? Korean zombie was against the best of the best. And to be fair, like when they put him against the Dennis Bermudez, he did move like that.
Yeah, and when he fought Mark Hominick, he did move like that too. He moved pop right hand. So
and when he fought Renato Moicano, he did move like that. So there is a thing where Korean Zombie was sort of the victim of his talent level, where he's just around all these killers all the time and he's constantly going to be in big matchups. But this guy looked good. He got a nasty one-punch KO. I thought he was kind of a protected guy on the regional scene. I was watching him on the regional scene and they had him against guys that were 23 and 30, that were 40 years old.
God damn, 23 and 30? Jesus.
Yeah, I saw it as protected, but then he took a year off and he came back and he fought some decent recorded guys. And I thought, his team just knew he wasn't there yet. So they gave him a couple easy guys like, all right, take this one. We're not going to jump into the LFA title fights yet. We're not going to jump into the Brave FC title fights yet or anything like that, or the any of those promotions, or we're not going to go for a rising world title. This guy, we're gonna take slow. We know he's got talent. We know he's got potential. We just need to gently nurture him to get there. So he's made rapid improvements in his game. And now he's consistently finishing guys that are way better than the guys that he couldn't finish earlier in his career. And other than that, I would just say that Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Sergey Spivak was a fucking disgrace. And
so
I hate watching the heavyweights, man.
Yeah. They're going back and forth. The heavyweight division.
The heavyweights frustrate me.
Yeah, the heavyweights are just in a different spot right now. It's just yeah.
I think it's just with the heavyweights, for me especially, and I think for a lot of big guys out there, we look at them and I end up thinking to myself, why am I leaner than you? I don't. I mean, why am I bigger and leaner than you?
The weight limit,
and I'm 250.
Yeah, well, the weight limit's 265, so a lot of the guys genetically and. Do they take it serious? Do they like, hey, I want to get my physique down? It's like they just don't care, And I think heavyweights have this mindset like, oh, I'm a heavyweight. I don't have to have abs or be strong or be athletic. I just got to hit hard. But that's what separates the good athletes like Tom Aspinall versus everybody else, right? Like Tom, he's like
Cyril Gahn, Gelton Almeida, Volkov, all of these guys, the real guys.
Exactly right. So, but all in all. How would you score it? Do you want to do 1 through 10 or 1 through 5? What would you give it? I give it like a 7. I thought it was a good card all around.
Yeah.
I agree with you with the competitiveness, but at the same time, Merab's just so good and Kayla's just so good. But all around, like when I sat there and watched it, I was like, that was a good card. Like I wasn't disappointed. I was like, that's a good card. It wasn't like, oh shit. I gave it a 7. What about you?
I actually agree with your rating dead on. I would say maybe a 7, 6.5. I think it was trailing towards an 8 before we got to the last 3 fights on the card. If one of those 3 fights would have been an all-time classic, that's when you achieve the 8 out of 10 card, the 9 out of 10 card, the potential illustrious 10, the elusive 10 out of 10 card that may never come. But yeah, I thought up until like the feature fight, co-main and main, we were looking at a really solid card because we had great finishes, we had some scraps. So, I enjoyed the card overall. I really did enjoy the card overall.
Boom.
I thought it was good.
Boom. Give that a 7. Yeah. Okay, now let's switch gears.
What a card recap, by the way, from DJ and Guru the first time. I tell you, nobody's doing it like us.
Cinema. Paul
Felder and Bisping wish they could break down the card with such skill. I tell you, dude. Honestly.
Well, we're just getting started. We're just getting fucking started.
We are. We got more to discuss.
Yeah, so Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. I'm going to tell you right now. Every single time I watch your content, I always fucking laugh in tears. There's that. Yeah. I don't think there's a content you put out there that I don't laugh. I showed one of my brothers at the football camp your content. And he was dying. You know what he said? He said, Jon Jones can do whatever the fuck he wants. If he wants to be in Thailand and get dunked in the pool by all the Russian men, he can do whatever the fuck he wants. I've made so much money. I've got so much pussy off Jon Jones. If Jon Jones isn't on Gold Mountain. He's on his own echelon. If you guys all have a gold jacket, that motherfucker gets a black jacket. You do.
Okay. Can I interrupt though, DJ? Now that you've said that, if you didn't tell me he was a brother, if you didn't tell me he was a brother and just told me what he told you about Jon Jones, I would have known that guy was a brother, dude. I'm telling you, I would have. If you would have just left that piece of information out of there and told me that this guy can do whatever he wants, he's just up there on the mountain doing his own thing, I would have said, "Oh, is this a brother of yours, DJ?" I would guess.
Well, when I say to brother, I said he's another black man. I didn't say he wouldn't have blood.
I know.
Okay,
I know. I meant that. That's what I meant, DJ. Don't worry about it.
I was dying. I was dying. I was fucking laughing when he said that. But Jon Jones has accepted the fight, according to Dana White. And then Jon Jones also says the UFC knows what I said. So I said this to John. I said this to Abe Kawa. We share the same manager. I said Jones is either the smartest man in the whole world and he's a genius, or he's the biggest fucking troll of all time. Right? Like, one, I think they know something that's going on. The fight is probably done and they're probably using it as leverage in order to sign the new TV deal. Right?
Yeah.
I don't understand why don't they just say that, but for some reason, like, there's a part where it's like the fight's gonna happen. Like, I feel like Tom Aspinall, they know. I feel like John, they know. Dana knows. I feel like everybody knows, but John is just like, sign the petition. Oh, I'm in Thailand drinking coconuts, da 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 da. And I feel like the UFC is enabling him to, like,
annoy everyone.
Which is, I mean, which
is a good promo strategy. I've never wanted Jones to lose more than now. So he's actually riled up the whole audience. And in a way, this might be the best promotion of a fight we've ever seen the UFC do before. If they have orchestrated this to be like, just strict, like, because when you don't know you want something until you don't get it.
Yep.
Yep. And this is one of those things where if they would have just dished out Aspinall versus Jones, and it would have already happened last year at MSG, it would have been like, it sold 500K pay-per-view buyers. It was a big fight. You know what I mean? It was a good fight. Whoever won. But now it's to the point where people are, I mean, if nearly 200,000 people are willing to sign an imaginary petition to strip Jon Jones, I mean, the amount of people that would be willing to part with some of their money to watch a pay-per-view, this is setting up to be one of the biggest fights. The only thing I would say is I used to think that maybe they were using it as leverage for the new platform deal that they're doing, which is a very smart move. But if I was doing that and I was the UFC and Jones was tweeting the stuff that he's doing and going around like that, I'd be like, you fucking dumb. We got a platform deal on the line and you're doing all of this. Like, we're supposed to be teasing the idea of the fight happening, and Jones is out there tweeting, I'm done. It's over. I had a good run. So if they were planning that, I bet you anything Dana's calling him like, listen, you fucking goofball. Drop the fucking shit on Twitter. We're trying to secure a deal here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I feel like it's a delicate situation. Maybe they've got the fight done. Maybe they don't. It's going to be a permanent discussion until it happens. The most annoying thing to hear, though, and I might do a whole video about this on Monday. Well, I've got multiple videos to do.
Yeah, well, but with the fact that he brought in Francis Ngannou's name, I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck is
he's still got a fight on his PFL contract.
Yeah, and it almost makes it like, you said it best. You don't know how bad you want it until they won't give it to you. But there's a point of me, it's like, I don't want it that bad. Like, if you guys are gonna make me go through, like, if John wants to be done, boom, right? Like, he like, just John go, hey guys, I'm done. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't care to fight Tom Aspinall. He's here today, maybe gone tomorrow. Perfect. Then we can get, Jackson Almeida or, Sir Gon fighting, Tom Aspinall at MSG. That's where I'm at. It's like, damn it. Like, I'm not a big fan of the back and forth games. And, did you sign the petition?
I did not sign the petition, but I endorsed it when it was at a mere 10K signees or 20K signees, and it took it to 100K.
How many do you think it has to get to a point to they actually like the petition works? Like, how does the petition work?
The petition isn't gonna. This is just some Reddit shit. You know what I'm saying? Like let's be real. This is some pathetic Reddit shit that we're doing, which is like we're signing a petition, and then they're even starting another movement where we're gonna do a mass unfollowing of Jon Jones. It's some really pathetic Reddit shit when you really break it down. But I think it's just if anything else, it's just a confirming factor to the UFC where they really are interested in getting this Jones Aspinall fight going. So if nothing else, it merely serves as a great intricate message to the UFC that there is demand that it's this fight or nothing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Which is really big. But I thought about Dana's press conference. He finally came back. He showed up to work. And I thought the media was weak. He dropped something like, it's none of my business.
Yeah.
I remember was one of the lines that he said when it comes to what Jones is doing. And I was just like, this is literally your fucking business. Like it is, this is your bit. You have a stake in this business.
Yeah.
You mean it's none of your business? And I thought Dana White's up there. He's ill. The MMA media is just so weak at these press conferences because I know if they give any like resistance to Dana, they're going to get booted out, right? Yeah. It's probably right. If they're constantly annoying Dana, you will not hear their voice from behind the camera ever again, I imagine.
Yeah.
Because he just doesn't want to have to deal with that. But with Dana, it was like he was up there. He was sick. He had a crackly voice. Now's the time to bully him. Now's the time to harass him and corner him. Like he's literally there to be victimized by the MMA media right now. And all of them were just loading up softball questions to him. And it was like, if I was there.
What would you ask him?
If I was in that
if you were there, what question would you have asked him?
I don't know what question I would ask him, but it would start with, listen here, you stupid fuck. That's what it was. It would start with some heat. Okay? That's all I know. And that would perk up Dana's attention real quick. He couldn't pretend to not hear that one. I'll tell you that much, like he normally does when he goes, what? What do I think about that? I can't hear anything about that going on. And he starts looking around to his handler. He wouldn't be able to divert that one. You know what I mean? But either way, you know, it was a good media day. Any other topics? We have a lot to discuss.
I mean, we got
in the regular MMA sense.
I mean, what do you? You know, I think we covered everything when it comes to UFC 316. I thought it was a great card. We gave it a 7 out of 10. Jones versus Tom Aspinall. Hopefully we'll get some movement. Right. Hopefully we'll get some movement before International Fight Week because, you know, that's coming up here pretty soon. They like to do a lot of big announcements. Even some big press conference could happen there with Tom's there and Jones is there. That'd be amazing. Yep. I think the only thing we have to cover now is like we have looking forward UFC 317. Fights, like that's the only thing because just so you guys know, this is the only time we're going to do these shows is after a major pay-per-view. That's it. That's it, right? So
once a month.
Once a month. So the next one would be UFC 317, Ilia Topuria taking Charles Oliveira. How do you think about
before we get to UFC 317, though, because this is dropping on Monday.
Yes, sir.
Hello in the future. A day in the future. It's Usman versus Buckley this weekend.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. I cannot
That's
wait
a
for
hell
that.
of a fight.
That's
UFC Atlanta.
Yes.
That is a hell of a fight. So we definitely got to discuss that because we can give predictions for that and break down.
Let's do it right now, babe. What you doing right now?
Yeah?
I think I'm going to go with Buckley. The reason why is I feel Buckley's part of this new guard, right? I feel him being at welterweight is the division he needs to be at. I feel he's got some momentum behind him. He can fight anywhere. He has the power. Can Kamaru Usman get it done? 1,000%. But when I talked to Buckley, I said you cannot allow Kamaru Usman into the fight. Right? Like when he fought Hamzat, you know, Hamzat had his back, double hooks, was pounding him. If he would just stretch him out, focus on just pound him instead of the choke, I think he would got Usman out of there. You know,
you've got to choose one or the other in those positions, you know?
Exactly. You got to decide. It's like, okay, I'm going to ground and pound you, have the ref stop it. Like, for those, protect yourself. Ref, you're killing. Like, you got to protect yourself, force that. And I think Joaquin Buckley knows that. I think Joaquin finishes him probably in the fourth round.
I think so. Yeah, well, exactly this. We are in absolute alignment here. I've got Joaquin Buckley like 4th, 5th, 3rd round TKO as the fight goes on. Buckley is one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. He is non-stop action, always trying to. He's not a fighter he's looking to win as well, which I like. I like a guy looking to win. Like, I don't want to see Buckley losing and not changing anything. he's going to mix in the 4 takedowns on Wonderboy, so eventually he can flatline him in the 3rd.
Yep.
He's not going to be a victim of entertaining the crowd or like be restrained by an ego that he goes in there with. Like, he's in there to do damage and do what it takes to win. And I think that's what you got to beat Usman. And with Usman, it's just at this point, I don't like it when they've got the podcast already and they've established a podcast and they've got this going on and that going on. And I'm actually stepping down from the podcast to fight. I don't like that. You know what I mean? I hate when these guys get other things going because it does show me that they're already looking to secure themselves once they're done, basically. And I think Usman's great, generational talent. He will be remembered as one of the greatest welterweights of all time. He's at least, top 5. But I mean, I think he's the 2nd best welterweight of all time.
Yeah,
I
GSP,
think it would be GSP, Usman, and then like a Matt Hughes.
Oh yeah.
I think Bilal's resume is underrated, but he just lost, so that might take it out of the mix.
Yeah.
And then there's a Woodley, and then a Lawler.
Yep.
Those are the names that you're really looking at in the welterweight GOAT conversation. But yeah, I think Joaquin Buckley's very good. I think he'll be oblique kicking Usman's knees round 1. I think he'll be chopping low kicks. And one thing I love about Buckley when it comes to, I think he's the best counter grappler, one of the best counter grapplers in the UFC welterweight division, because he's such a ball of muscle.
Yes. And
he's very difficult to choke because of his anatomy. Like, he's all traps and shoulders. Yep. You know what I mean? He's all built like this. And I feel like he's very hard to choke from like a front choke position. Okay. Because he's very athletic. He's very dynamic. He'll get a roll out. He's very good at shifting his weight while he's low to the ground with the way that he's built. And I think in terms of a ball of muscle, he's very good at tucking up and getting his knees under him. And, with Usman, I feel like he'd be good. And with a lot of wrestlers, sometimes it's good to get your guy stretched out on the ground.
Yep.
To get right over them, to get your body right across them diagonally in half guard and really pin them there. But Buckley's so good at tucking up that I think he's going to give Usman problems and keep it on the feet.
Yeah, and I think Buckley's also more creative on the feet, right? Like doing that spinning back shit when he caught that. Like, I think that's what's going to separate him from Kamaru Usman. And I mean, I'm excited because I think he needs, like, could you imagine the rematch between Buckley versus Kevin Holland?
Yeah,
like,
that's a big fight.
That's a big fucking fight right there. Big fucking fight.
Yeah.
I mean, the welterweight division, when you start talking about like Buckley, Kevin Holland, Ian Gary, I mean,
JDM, new champ, Shavkat Rakhmonov looking to come back.
Is Makhachev good? I mean, that division is like, whew, that is a fucking banger division,
It might be one of the best in the sport right now.
Yeah.
MVP is still lurking there. We're waiting to see what move he makes next.
Yep.
They might just book the next fight with him.
We were actually in I saw him
Michael Morales. Sorry, go.
Yeah, when I was in the UK visiting you, I went and visit MVP, and he was like, I'm just waiting for a fucking fight, man. I'm just waiting for something to come in my lap. But, there's so many big names in that division that we forget because a lot of those guys don't fight as often because they're waiting for the right fight. But that what the division with Buckley and Usman, right there, if Usman wins, I don't know. I don't foresee him sticking around much longer, right? So I think, if he loses, I think this is the perfect, sail away. It was like, hey, retirement. I got the podcast, pound for pound. I think that'll be way. And then Buckley can go off and try to take the throne and become a world champion. So that's a card. I'm not sure what else is on that card. That's kind of, looking sexy, but I think the main event, and then after that, you have Khalil Rountree taking on what's the name, Jamahal Hill. That's another fucking banger. I like in that fight. Who do you got in that one?
Oh, I can't help. I wanted to jump in on something that you were saying about Buckley and Usman real quick.
Go ahead.
I think with Usman, it's a great time to sail off because his legacy's still intact.
Yep.
Like, it's not a time to. Sometimes when they lose so many, they're like, I can't leave on this many losses. But with Usman, if he were to lose to Buckley, he could sail off and be like, I gave Chimaev a lot of trouble up a weight class on short notice. And he would still be remembered for greatness, bar this one loss to Joaquin Buckley. The other losses are acceptable. And if Usman wins, there's still the matchup with Bilal Muhammad. I know they had an intense beef in person.
I would love
that
one.
They didn't post the podcast, remember?
Yeah.
And Usman had the podcast and they got heated. And Cejudo was even saying, I don't know if you spoke to Cejudo about this, but he was saying that they were nearly getting in each other's face in the podcast and really going at each other. So that's a big fight they could make between Usman and Bilal Muhammad. But if Buckley wins, This is Buck versus Cuck is the biggest fight you can make in the welterweight division. Ian Gary, Joaquin Buckley. I'll put full promotional force behind that. Don't you worry, Buckley. You know I've been pushing for this one for a long time. I'll put the full weight of my channel behind pushing for that fight, for a title fight in the future. But yeah, I think there's a lot of fun stuff. That's just what I wanted to chuck in. But yeah, we can get onto the fights after. I've got Jamahal. I weirdly have got Jamahal Hill. I think he's weirdly underrated, man. And I know that a lot of people are going to go with Khalil. Maybe I'm just fucking wrong. I've been wrong so much this year with my predictions, but
that's okay. I have too. I thought Bryce Mitchell was going to beat the shit out of Gene Silva, but I got that one wrong. But it happens. It happens.
Very wrong, unfortunately. I'll be fishing with Bryce soon, by the way.
Oh, where you guys going fishing at?
Arkansas. We're going to be in Arkansas going fishing. So I might be in the US this summer, but I'm going to do it in like chunks. So I'm going to maybe do the Northeast and in Arkansas, and then I'll be on the other coast the other time, because it's just I can't take that long away from the channel.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah. So that's the plan. So I'm going to be in the Northeast in the US in this summer, and me and Bryce are going to meet up and do some fishing and wood chopping and shooting. So that should be something fun.
Yeah, that'll be hilarious to see the content.
But Hill versus Rountree, I think Hill is just an underrated fucking tough guy. And that's what something people don't give him credit for. And I know he got caught by Pereira and he got put down, but I just think he's so damn tough and he's stubborn and he'll force onto Khalil and single collar, knees to the body, and he's good at crowding. And I think that's what you have to do against Khalil is crowd him rather than play that little
Muay Thai game.
Play at distance, the Muay Thai game.
Yeah.
So listen, I could switch my pick to Khalil. I could easily see Khalil just being too with his Muay Thai for Jamahal Hill as he comes in. But I think Khalil Rountree is that you look at his Alex Pereira performance and you go, this guy is the champ that isn't.
Yep.
This is champion B is what you think at the time. But then when you look back at his career, and this is the reason why I picked Pereira to beat him in the first place, I see the Anthony Smith performance and it's like, oh, we shouldn't be this competitive before the fourth round. And I see the Dustin Jacoby performance where I thought he very clearly lost and they gave him the win. And then Marcin Prachnio beat him. So I think that might be sort of like he might have been a rose to the occasion type of guy when it was all on the line.
Yep.
But for some of the other matchups, I think there are I don't think this is going to be the same Khalil that fought Pereira, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think who knows? Maybe he's taken his game to that level. So I guess that's the gamble, right? But what do you think about the Hill versus Rountree matchup?
I think I agree with you with Jamahal Hill. I think Jamahal Hill is he's interesting because I feel like he has this weird way of like punching and hitting people, and he obviously hits hard. Like when he knocked out Johnny Walker, it was like, holy shit, like he definitely has power. And he could wrestle Khalil, but I think he's too stubborn to wrestle Khalil. Like when I was talking to him and he was like, I'm going to knock out Alex Pereira. And I was like, what? Like, why don't you
mix it up?
Why don't you mix it up? So I think if he goes out there and mixes it up against Khalil, I think he has a better chance of beating Khalil. But like I said, I think he's too stubborn. I think Khalil, on paper, I think Khalil should, beat him. Khalil's been working with Marcus Buchecha. He's working with the Jackson House, Everett Santos Studio. Yeah. He's got the Muay Thai background. He's done those wars. And I think he took something away from that Alex Pereira fight, like more belief, like I deserve to be here. I can be here.
You get the rub, right? When you prove that you belong.
Exactly. So you kind of get that, like, you start feeling yourself. So I think he should, as long as he moves, I think I'm leaning towards Khalil Rountree beating Jamahal Hill. Could be a 5-round war. I could see a 5-round war, but I'm gonna have to go Khalil on that one.
Yeah, I could see Khalil winning, and it's mainly because of Jamahal Hill's way of movement.
Yep,
is that he steps over himself a lot,
crosses his
and
feet.
He walks. He likes he saunters around like it's like a drunken footwork style. And it's not in a mockery type of way because it works against guys that aren't going to hack at your legs. Yep. But Khalil can hack at your legs. So that's something that could be interesting to where once you are walking, it's a 1, 2. I used to be in the military cadets when I was younger. And I remember it's instilled in my head, the 1, 2, 1, 4, left, right, left, left, right, left. And I can almost hear that a little bit, left, right, left. And it's almost like once you're in a fight, it's all rhythm.
Yep.
You can almost hear rhythm, I imagine. I have never fought before, but I imagine that you can almost hear the beat of the fight almost. like the rhythm of someone's footwork and the way they're moving and they're jittering at you.
Yeah, you could. I don't want to say you can hear it, but you can see it and you can feel it.
Not hearing it, but you know what I mean.
You could feel it.
Which is why when someone changes that rhythm, it's like a shock.
Yes, the tempo
you get
change.
set within this rhythm.
Yes,
but with Jamahal Hill, the way he walks, I can just see Khalil being like,
here it goes.
Here goes his left foot coming forward and planting.
Yep.
Bah, inside low kick, move. Here comes his right foot coming forward next. Bang.
Yep.
Outside low kick. So yeah, maybe I will switch back towards Khalil. Maybe I'm fucking wrong there, but I think the problem is with my Jamahal Hill thing is I think he's so much better than people give him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me sort of like, in like retaliation of people underrating him.
Yep.
I like counter it with the vicious overrating of Jamahal Hill. So that's sort of the position I'm in with Jamahal Hill, but I could flip flop on that matchup. It's a very 50-50 fight in my opinion.
Gotcha. And other than that, I think that puts us right at, UFC 317, Charles Oliveira taking Ilia Topuria. I mean, those two cards, Kamaru Usman taking on Buckley, and then the clear Rountree taking on Jamahal Hill. Those are two banger cards. Those two main events are pretty sweet. And then you got UFC 317, Ilia Topuria taking on Charles Oliveira. I'm pumped for that just because we're finally going to see what Ilia Topuria can do at 155 against a very dangerous Charles Oliveira, which obviously Charles gets hurt every single time he fucking fights, and yeah, I mean, he does
get hurt. I do think he has an underrated chance, though. He is really good. Of course, Oliveira is really good. He's a top dog of the division for a reason. He's so dangerous, and he could also finish Topuria, which I think is something that people aren't considering. You think he can't? But he can.
Yeah,
he is a more
1000%.
Put it this way, yeah, he can. But whether you just don't think it happens, I guess is the take. But the thing is that I'm saying is Ilia is getting into his mojo against Holloway and Volk, who aren't going to finish you in the first 3 rounds of a fight. No. It's just not their way. Volk is not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Holloway is not gonna put you out in round 1, 2, or 3. Like he's done it maybe once to Korean Zombie as of recent history, but
yeah.
It's just typically not their way. And I think they sort of allow Topuria to get his swagger on in a fight.
Yeah.
Whereas maybe Oliveira, even though he faces a risk of being finished a lot easier than a Volkanovski or a Holloway, he also puts Topuria in a position to where, Topuria could be finished before he gets his swagger on in a big spotlight where the Makhachev fight's on the line and he has all this proving to do. Well, I am leaning Topuria, of course, in the matchup. Go ahead.
Well, now that you say that, when you look at the last couple of fights that Ilia Topuria has had, those guys do not have the same amount of skills as Charles Oliveira, right? Like, we're not going to see Max Holloway blast a fucking double leg and try to take your back and get the back and put a body triangle on. We're not going to see Alex Volkanovski do that either. Alex Volkanovski's more about being, technical, going left, going right, high kick, right hand move. He's sticking and moving. Where Charles
he forces you into his game.
Exactly. Where Charles is like, I'm going to come fight you, and if I'm not liking what's going on in the feet, I'm going to blast a double leg. I'm going to blast a double leg like he did against Michael Chandler. And then he got Chandler's back, body triangle. He lived there pretty much the whole entire fight. Charles Oliveira has that ability to do that against Ilia Topuria. But the question is that as he tries to get there, does he get hurt? And if he gets hurt, can Ilia Topuria put him down for good? Because you look at Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler hurt him. Dustin Poirier hurt him. Justin Gaethje hurt him. The list just goes on. He gets hurt all the time, and he gets his way back into the fight. The question is, if he gets hurt, will Ilia Topuria let him back in the fight? That's why I side with Ilia. I agree with you. Charles can't finish him. Charles can finish him because he's a motherfucker, right? But you also saw Arman Tsarukyan out-grapple him. Just like, you're going to get an arm bar, I'm going to shuck you off. I'm going to pass your guard. And I feel like Charles has problems with people who are super athletic. Like, I'm not accepting the position. Nope, I'm going to out-wrestle you. Oh, I'm going to hold you down. Like, when he comes to people who are super athletic, not saying that Michael Chandler is super athletic, but I feel he gasses himself out. That makes sense. Like, he gets in there, he doesn't work his way into the fight. I can't get to him. Like, Arman Tsarukyan he's very fucking athletic. When I worked with him, I was like, you're super athletic. But I feel Charles runs with the people who are athletic. I don't know how athletic Ilia Topuria is. We'll find out when those two fight. But I'm going to go Ilia Topuria.
Yeah, I'm going with Ilia Topuria as well in that matchup. My take on it is that, I think Oliveira has less of a chance of beating Topuria than Volkanovski and Holloway did, but I think he has more chance of doing it dominantly in like very dominant fashion. So I don't think he'll win, but if he does win, it's going to be, oh my God, he just destroyed Topuria and finished it early in the fight. So that's the dynamic that we're looking at here. The thing is with Charles, and listen, we just saw not Carlos Prates, we just saw Patchy mix.
Yeah.
And I almost saw a bit of Oliveira in him, where he didn't have the layers that Oliveira has or the finishing potential that Oliveira has. But I saw a bit of that in him where it's high and tight guard, moving forward, trying to sort of grab on in certain situations when you're in the pocket. And it works until there's a real close range. Ilia's a shotgun of a fighter.
Yep.
He's gonna get right.
He's gonna get right there, 2 to the body, 4 to 2, 3 to the body, upper top. Like it's gonna be a fight. Like there's gonna be some technique in there. Don't get me wrong, but it's gonna be a fucking fight because, like you said, Ilia Topuria puts himself right there. Charles is gonna respond with that high tight knees at the middle, and Topuria's just gonna he's gonna fucking go. Like he's gonna hurt that body real fucking bad, and that's what I'm excited for because they're gonna fucking fight.
It's gonna be a clash. It's gonna be two just go straight at each other. I think Ilia's game plan and approach should be to almost bait Oliveira to reach. I think is what he wants. He doesn't want to be in a situation where, because Oliveira's not the type of guy to, as you close the distance, he pulls back like O'Malley against Aljamain Sterling and
he's gonna
cracks you as you come in. He's not that guy. No. You know what I mean? He doesn't catch you as you come in.
Yep.
But he sort of works you, and then once you're in, if you're in there for too long, he'll get you. Yep. You know what I mean? That's the sort of Oliveira's way. So I think Ilia's got to sort of like be close, knowing that he's not going to get sniped by a counter shot and put out cold, but also be in reaching distance to where Oliveira might try and reach out a little bit and grab a single collar or just try and get a hold in the clinch. And that's where Ilia Topuria is going to be like, I'm not clinching back. I'm going body, head over the top. Separate body and then right upstairs with a right hook as Oliveira's like hands come away from his face. It's just the thing with Oliveira is sometimes I think his depth perception is not as good as his raw talent in martial arts. That's all. So I think sometimes he's in a lot of danger closing the void, as you say. And I think that's where Topuria will get a first or second round TKO over him.
Yeah.
But, the Bronx the Lion, that could be a historic moment if he pulls that one off and reclaims gold at lightweight. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, and then I'll do the opposite. If Carlos, the game plan for him, if I was him, I would keep that void open, be on my bicycle, go lateral, throw body kicks. Throw lots of body kicks. That way, when Ilia Topuria is doing his X and Y movement, you throw a body kick across his his forearms, he has to eat that. And he's also taller. And then once Ilia Topuria overextends with a big jumping hook, go underneath, take him down. Then you're taking all that muscle away from him. You're taking all of those body shots, those headshots. Then you start playing guard. When he gets up, you take his back, body triangle. You just stifle him. Don't try to fight him. Don't fight him the first, the second, the third round. Just stifle him, right? Maybe in the middle of the second, if it's starting to work, then you start to open up in the third, the fourth, and then you look to finish him from the back. So if I was his coach, use that jab, move. It's either jab, move out, or jab, close distance. Because if you jab and move out too slow, he's going to come off up top of it like he did with Max Holloway. But if you jab, close distance, then you smother that, and then you go for takedown, clinch, and we'll see. Hopefully they listen to us. Hopefully they come and watch this, and they're like, oh,
hopefully they do.
Ilia be like, oh, we should do what Guru says. Fuck Mickey Mouse. And then Charles like, we need to listen to fucking Minnie Mouse. He knows what he's talking about. We're gonna kick them fucking arms. That's what we're gonna do.
We're gonna see what happens. But I agree, if you're Oliveira's stance, he needs to fight in a way where he doesn't have the end position in mind. I think is a big thing. Where if I think he should give Ilia a glimpse of what he wants into a drastic change. So he'll be like, I'm in, oh, and I'm in on a double leg and I'm in on your hips. I'm not in, like he'll be sort of closing the distance on the feet. I'm looking to throw double leg underneath and not be fighting to the point where he thinks he's going to just blast double Topuria to the canvas.
Yeah.
But just get to the hips and then get under the arm of Topuria, get round to the back from there, like he did towards Dustin Poirier, where he shot in and Poirier was thinking sprawl,
whoop,
and then whoop, round to the backside. That's where Oliveira's got his game. But other than that, there's other big fights on that card. You know, Pantoja Kara France is a flyweight title fight that's on that card. I know, yes, your division. So I'll let you take the reins on a Pantoja Kara France matchup.
I mean, I think it's going to come down to, you know, once again, you have a guy who likes to stand on their feet, which is Kara France. You have Pantoja, who can pretty much fight anywhere, but his stronger suit is getting the fight to the ground, get the back, body triangle, looking for the choke. So I feel Pantoja is in this realm where he's developed a style. He's very tough, very durable. He could take a shot. He can give a shot. I mean, he dropped Kai Asakura, and he ate some nasty shots. That beautiful liver shot that Kai Asakura hit him with, he was able to walk through it, overwhelm him, and get the fight to the ground. Jump knee.
Hit him with a jump knee as well.
Yeah,
just smothered it.
Just smothered him, got the back, and finished him. If Kara France is not ready for that smothering, and he doesn't have anything to answer for the grappling and just the smothering, Pantoja is going to remain king. But if Kara France stay on their feet, land those big shots, frustrate, because they fought before. They fought in the Ultimate Fighter House. If he can land those frustrating shots and keep it like Steve Ercik did. Steve Ercik I felt did a good job against Pantoja, but he made he did he made a mistake by trying to wrestle with Pantoja. Yeah. They got in a scramble. Pantoja ended up top, held him down. So if Kara France can keep the fight on his feet, outwork Pantoja on the feet and the scrambles and keep him off his back, we can see a new champion when Kara France. And I think the only time I feel Pantoja has trouble is when he fights somebody who's athletic, who's going to be pushing like Brandon Moreno. You can see he kind of slows down because he works himself into the fight, but he's an emotional fighter where he'll those kick, then it's like, and he plots forward. It's not a let me reset. Pop. Okay. Pop. So, who do I have?
He effectively loses composure. Yes. Is essentially what Pantoja does sometimes. Yeah. But who do you have?
Man, you know, I'm going to go with Pantoja. Like, even though, like, I picked against Kara France once, but I will always go with somebody who has more ways, who's not scared to grapple. Like, you look at the past fight with Sean versus Merab. Sean had to keep the fight on the feet. Merab was putting on the feet too. Merab was letting some good shots where
he was
Pantoja but Sean doesn't want to go to the ground. I know for a fact that Kara France does not want to go to the ground with Pantoja. Like, he doesn't want to fight in that realm. So for that, and Pantoja would love to fight on the feet. He'll fight him on the feet and he might be successful. But Pantoja wants to go to the ground. He has more ways, areas he can fight in. So I'm always gonna go with that athlete who has more ways or more areas that he's willing to fight in. So for that, I'm gonna go with Pantoja.
I'm leaning towards Pantoja as well here. Again, the options, the grind, the championship experience at this point. I almost like that he's not looking beyond his division when it comes to moving up to fight Merab. I don't like it in a sense as a fan because I want to see Merab Pantoja. I want to see that super fight. But I like it in terms of like trust in Pantoja winning here because it's good when they're still focused on their contenders.
Yeah.
You know, where Pantoja's like, I know you guys want me to move up, but I've still got work to do. Mm-hmm. There's this other guy I want to get through. And then once he's done, there's going to be another guy coming up. And I like that from Pantoja. So I like his focus here, his toughness, his chin. Kara France has power at flyweight, but not power to finish everyone. But he does have power to drop and hurt certain flyweights that just aren't as durable as a guy like Pantoja. One thing I will point to, though, if you want to do some sort of like fundamental research for this fight, is you guys should watch back. And a guy who actually beat Pantoja with grappling is Askar Askarov. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember him as a UFC fighter.
He just fucking disappeared out of the face of the earth. And I think he just did a grappling at 80XC. I could be wrong, but he just did a no-gi grappling match.
Yeah, but what I was saying is Askar Askarov, he's got incredible grappling. I think he's deaf, isn't he? Askar Askarov, that's the thing. He's deaf.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
He is. Which is why I don't know why that's even a factor here. I don't know why I even fucking said that. It's not like he's going to be offended by it.
He's like,
yeah, but he's deaf. Yeah. But that's not the thing about him. But I'm just sort of like putting characteristics to him so I remember him right. He's great grappler. And he has really, really good scrambles. And he actually out-grappled Pantoja in their fight positionally.
Yep.
Pantoja had submission attempts, but he lost to Askar Askarov. That was Pantoja's loss. Other than Davison Figueiredo in his career, he lost to Askar Askarov and Alejandro Pantoja. And Askar Askarov was like Pantoja was jumping guillotines against him.
Yep.
And trying to sort of win the grappling exchange by showing, look, I nearly had that guillotine, and look, I nearly had this position on him. Whereas Askar actually out-positionally grappled him and out-scrambled him in that fight and actually won top position quite a bit. Kai Kara-France beat Askar Askarov, and he did it in a way that completely shut down Askar Askarov's grappling.
Mm-hmm.
He has, Kai Kara-France, watch the Askar Askarov fight that he has, and watch some of the other fights that he has in his career with an Amir Albazi, which he actually got given the loss for, but I think everyone thinks he won that fight, very clear. He's an extremely good guy at shutting down grappling.
Yep.
So although I do agree, and I am going to lean towards Pantoja, this could be a Bilal Muhammad JDM situation where even though the guy has more options, he's up against the guy that can shut down his other option.
Yep.
Whereas O'Malley can't shut down Merab's other option. He can't shut down Merab's second gear. But JDM could shut down Bilal's and shuck off the takedowns and effectively counter it. And, he has really good survivability. And there's something about, and I always say this, there's something about the New Zealand and Australian fighters. They have a really good system of dealing with grappling as strikers in MMA. And there must be, and I think the secret is Craig Jones.
Craig Jones.
I think that is, he is the secret. And you see when he trains with someone, they're going up against a grappler when it comes to Volkanovski, Australian, really dealt with that well. And Jack Della Maddalena, Australian, really dealt with that well. And even Adesanya, as a pure kickboxer, has dealt honestly quite well with grapplers throughout his career.
Yeah.
Like you would expect a guy in Adesanya, he's a pure kickboxer. Some grappler will take him down and deal with him, but he's picked up very quickly. And I don't know if they've done any direct work with Craig Jones, but I think there's something to Kara-France where we are going to see a very hard fought decision here for Pantoja.
Yes.
This isn't going to be a submission win in the first or second round or a very easy, he got the grappling going and Kara-France lost as a striker. We're going to see Pantoja stuck on the back for a round without getting a choke. We're going to see him, going for dominant position and Kara-France sort of looking up at the clock and very patiently sort of pummeling and separating the hands. So I'm actually going to go with a razor close 47 decision to Pantoja here. I think it's going to be a very difficult fight for him.
Damn, dog, you going to the scorecards? You bringing out the fucking numbers and shit? 240-47. I just felt okay. All right.
Well, just off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I agree with you. I mean, that could damn well be how Kai Kara-France, he does have the ability to shut it down. It's just can he shut it down enough where he can actually stay in a fight, right? Like,
he's very dynamic and his balance is so good. Again, you have to watch some of these fights where he's come up against these grapplers and they've got him on a single leg and he's literally jumping up in the air and keeping his balance while afloat in the air. It's a factor in this fight, and I don't know if it's a factor enough to go against just how great Pantoja is.
Yeah.
It's definitely a factor enough to where this ain't going to be an easy night in the office. It's going to be a tough war.
Yeah, Pantoja just throws a fucking kitchen sink at you. He throws, it's almost like a mini version of, not a mini version of Merab, but I would say a little bit of a mini version of Merab where he just throws everything at you. Like Kai Asakura, I seen him stark motherfuckers over in Ryzen. Just starch him. Like, boom.
Juan Archuleta.
Yeah.
Didn't he sleep Juan Archuleta?
He slept Juan Archuleta. He slept Kyoji Horiguchi. I mean, Manel Kopp
he also lost.
He also, so, I mean, he's just such a pinpoint sniper, and Pantoja just fucking got on him like it was nothing and ate those shots. So it's like, I can't wait for that fight because it's going to be a sick fight. And I think it's going to be good for the flyweight division. Hopefully we can see who's going to win there. And then you have Manel Kopp taking on Brandon Royval. I think that's earlier. That fight's going to be before that fight. I can't remember which card it's on. But that'll also be a clearance to who's going to be the number one contender. You also have Brandon Moreno there. I mean, I feel like they're starting to get some steam in that division. And then you have your new boy, Joshua Vaughn there. He's too young. Yep. I don't want him to get immediate title shot. I would like to see him work his way up. So when he gets there, he's ready for it. That division,
he's pushing for Brandon Moreno in Mexico next.
I mean, right there,
what he's looking for.
If he beats Brandon Moreno in Mexico, knocks him out, then he's gonna get a title shot at a very young age, which could be good for him, or it could be very detrimental because it's like you made it to the cream of the crop You're 23 fucking years old, and it's like now it's
so risky for him, right, to get there that soon. But I think with the right mindset, if you're that young, just getting to the top that early is always going to be good. You know, unless you take an unfathomable amount of damage and his chin is now ruined because of the beating that he took too soon.
Yep.
I think if he gets to the top that early at such a young age, with the right mindset after that, the sky is Joshua Van's limit here. But of course, Moreno's no easy test to get through in the meantime. But other than that, on that 317 International Fight Week card, I mean, we got, Royval Cap, as you mentioned, is on the same card. That's a very interesting matchup. We just mentioned that. We've got my boy, Manny Moicano, Beneil Dariush. That's on the card. That's the rebooking. We got Paulo Costa, Roman Kopylov, Jack Hermansson, Gregory Rodriguez. I mean, there's some interesting matchups on there. I'd like to see another decent fight or two, but it feels a little too late. But this fight is going to be carried by the big hitters at the top, I think, which is going to get everyone's attention.
Yeah, the main event and the co-main event. So this was amazing to recap UFC 316, and we gave you guys a little bit of UFC 317. We will be back when we finish with UFC 317, and we'll give a huge shout out to Ben Askren. He's hospitalized right now with some pneumonia, and I believe you said staph infection, Guru?
It's apparently pneumonia from staph infection. Is the story that's out, and get well soon to Ben Askren. You know, it's horrible to see, and obviously we're wishing him the best and wishing a lot of well wishes to his family going through this time, and we just hope that everything's okay. We just wanted to mention that at the end of this video because, you know, he's a member of the MMA community.
Absolutely.
And with a lot of things going on with a lot of people in the MMA community right now, we need a couple wins, you know, and we need Ben Askren back in the mix. So get well soon, and best luck to everyone that's affected directly by Ben Askren's tragic situation right now. So hopefully he's back on his feet in no time, and we can be having better talks about Ben Askren after this.
Yeah, absolutely. The funky man will pull through. He'll pull through. So, boys, if you guys enjoyed this brand new episode of the Mighty Guru Show, please leave a like, subscribe. Also, hit the bell to go live. Make sure you guys go follow MMA Guru. He's always dropping some delicious, amazing content. And make sure you guys stick around on this channel because we drop the Void, Instant Reaction, all the good things. I am one of your hosts, Demetrius Johnson, and that is MMA Guru. We will see you guys.
I'm the MMA Guru, and I've interrupted Demetrius Johnson at the end of a perfect read to say goodbye. Subscribe and watch every month as we recap the pay-per-views. No other combination of people can pull this off to the level that we do. 2 hours of absolute cinema every month on the Mighty Guru podcast. See y'all around.